Hello, football family. Welcome into Huddle It Up Films, episode 3 of Camp Chatter. Had to bring in Purple Rain podcast host Suttondef. Sutton, first of all, thank you for being here. And secondly, your co-host led off. I don't know if you know much about baseball, but you're batting third, man. So your job is to drive them in on
Yeah,
base.
got you. Yeah, I'll send them all home. I'll send them all home.
Is there anything that you would like to say about your wonderful co-host here, good or possibly bad? Throw him under the bus when you have a chance.
Nah, no bad things to say about Alex, man. Simply AS10, he's a legend, quite simply put, man. I mean, and especially in the Ravens community, NFL community, man. Ravens Twitter, NFL Twitter, just in general, man. Just the highlight videos that he puts together, which is what he's really known for, are second to none. And I'm very proud of him. Every single milestone that he's accomplished since I've been doing this show with him. He just recently reached 50,000 subscribers on YouTube, which is huge, man. He's really big on TikTok too, which I love. If you guys don't follow Simply AS10 on TikTok, please follow Simply AS10 on TikTok at Simply AS10. I promise you, you will not regret it, man. From mic'd ups to old Ravens clips, things like that. I mean, he's got it all on there. He's really doing well with the content right now. So, yeah, no bad things to say about Simply AS10 at all. He's a great co-host. Has been that for the greater part of 3 years. So, yeah, I'm super proud of him. I love him.
It's tough. It's really, I want to make jokes here and to try to say something negative about him, but there really isn't anything you can knock simply for. Great person, man, and to work with somebody for 3 years, twice a week over on the Purple Rain podcast. Of course, their links will be below. Monday nights, Thursday nights. Sutton's joining me after a show tonight. Just great people, great vibes. I check in with them, and happy to have you guys on the series. So let's talk some wide receivers. Haven't talked much wide receivers yet so far. The Ravens training camp, obviously Bateman hasn't practiced yet. OBJ's ramping up. We're hearing all these good things about Zay Flowers, Nelson Aguilar splashing. Hearing a lot about Tariq Black. Maybe he's this year's Shamar Bridges, or the James Prochet's of years past. Prochet is still there. Sutton, just very quickly, what's standing out to you about this group so far?
I mean, well, the one that's standing out to me is the one that's standing out to everybody right now, and it's going to be Zay Flowers. I mean, just anytime you get a rookie into the fold, into the mix of things, it's going to cause a lot of excitement because there's that sort of mystery factor behind him. Like, we don't know what he's going to put on the field yet. All we can really do is speculate. And what we've heard in training camp so far, like, I've heard guys like Marlon Humphrey compare him to guys like Jerry Jeudy and Calvin Ridley when it comes to route running. I've seen Peter King, as recently as today, say that Zay Flowers is the best rookie, and simply made it a point to me to say not the best wide receiver, the best rookie in 6 training camps that he's been to. So just that kind of jumps off the screen to me. Zay Flowers really was popping out to me right now. A lot of people would say like Odell Beckham Jr., like the casual fan, right? The casual football fan, casual Ravens fan would say, oh yeah, we got Odell this year, Super Bowl or bust. But no, man, I think that Zay Flowers, with what they want to do, and let me speak on this really quick too. Todd Monken, he had actually, well, not Todd Monken, but news came out yesterday that the Ravens spent the last half of practice, the last little bit of practice, practicing pick plays, rub routes, things like that. That was music to my ears, because a guy like Zay Flowers would be perfect for those sort of concepts, So that's what really jumps off the screen to me. That's what's really jumping out to me right now. Zay Flowers is just, I'm excited to see what he brings to the Ravens, especially like week 1, Texans. I'm expecting a touchdown, man. I'm just excited.
I hope so. My main worry with it is that we're gonna not turn him loose right away, and I think we're gonna need him right away. But don't baby him. Let him get out there. Let him run routes. He's at full speed right now when others aren't. But yeah, the picks and rubs, we haven't seen a lot of that. And for those of you that may not know, it's basically running interference for Zay Flowers to clear some room. Within the rules, you're not allowed to touch the DBs, but that don't mean you can't get in their way. Give Zay Flowers the ball quickly, snap it, throw it to him, have a bunch of people out there, and let him weave his way around, make yak. It's perfect for Zay. But yes,
Yeah.
we got hurt by the team in Pittsburgh after Ben Roethlisberger lost his arm and couldn't go deep anymore. That's pretty much all they did was those picks and rub routes. And it can be Sutton. It can be darn near indefensible, especially like down by the goal line, short yardage. You need cheap 3-5 yards. You're definitely getting that if it's well executed.
Yeah, it's a super useful concept. I mean, for those of you guys listening who follow the sport of basketball, it's kind of like a similar concept. Like the pick play in basketball has been around for years because it's just so hard to defend. Like just naturally, by its nature, it's so hard to defend. So, you bring up a good point by bringing up the post, big arm, big bend, and them kind of shifting towards that sort of style of offense surrounding him. So I definitely think that a guy like Zay Flowers is going to benefit from these type of concepts that's coming out of the Ravens offense this season. And the hope is, and I know we've talked about Zay Flowers a little bit, but Rashad Bateman. Rashad Bateman is the one. He's like kind of like the catalyst on this receiving core to me because last year really told me everything I needed to know about this guy being the real deal. When that Dolphins game, when he put his foot in the ground on that slant, caught that ball from Lamar. By the way, Lamar put it exactly where it needed to be, outside of his frame, so he could bring it back in and keep running full speed. Loved that. But he's shown me things like that breakaway speed. I know you remember that game against the Chargers. It might have been his first game in the NFL against the Chargers a couple years back. Had a couple big plays, a couple chain movers, first downs, wiggling around guys. Like he is the complete package when it comes to receiver. I know you remember that Browns game where he goes up over Greedy Williams once or twice for big catches, like he has that big play ability. When it comes to jumping over guys, when it comes to running by guys, when it comes to getting open, creating separation, he is that guy. He just has to stay healthy. And that's why I think he's kind of like the catalyst right now. I mean, Odell Beckham, of course, we have questions about his health as well. I don't really expect Odell Beckham to kind of be like that workhorse on, in the wide receiving room. I'm really looking for that guy to be Bateman, man. He's not a receiver, not a receiver. He's not a rookie anymore, so I don't expect him to have any sort of like training wheels, especially if that foot's ready to go.
There you go. So I want to try to attack them one by one here, and just ask you about Zay. His explosiveness is evident. I'm really happy to hear that he's been moved around the formation. I was doing the show with Voss and Yuri over on their YouTube channel, and that's what I wanted to see in this training camp. And it was came true right away that they're not just going to pigeonhole Zay into a slot role. Move him around, man. I mean, we're going to need to keep guys fresh. Zay is lightning fast off his release. Let's see him get off a press versus Marlon in practice. See if he could be an X receiver. See, I think he's definitely a Z receiver. If Hollywood could do it at his size, Zay can do it at his size. Zay plays a little bigger than Hollywood, in my opinion.
Yep.
So, what my question though goes back to my main worry. That is, they're going to have him break in this Duvernay type role where it's only pick and rub routes. He's the motion man, and it's a lot of smoke with no fire with Zay, where they won't allow him to just go out and start running routes right away, moving around running right away. Do you share that kind of concern with me, or do you think that I'm overthinking that?
No, I do share the concern. And I guess that concern kind of stems from John Harbaugh, head coach, because he's the type of guy where like you really, really have to earn your spot on this team, But I think that the fact that he was a first round pick will give him kind of like that extra push to like actually, do more. They're gonna want to put him out there on the forefront. You have to get your return on investment on a first round pick. Just simple as that. You can't really have him waiting in the wings forever, especially if he's healthy, man. These guys don't get any younger. NFL, we all know stands for not for long. So if you get a first round pick, you're spending that sort of draft capital. You have to see what he can do, So Zay Flowers, I do think that in a Todd Monken-led offense, Todd Monken is also new to this team, just like Zay Flowers is. I think Todd Monken doesn't have any sort of biases on who he wants to get the ball to or anything like that. He's fresh to this offense. He's a fresh face. So I don't think that it's going to be necessarily super biased or swayed towards, Mark Andrews getting the ball, or maybe Odell gets a whole lot of targets, things like that. I think Zay Flowers will have a healthy amount of reps and plenty of opportunities, especially early on in the season.
I hope so, because he's ready to go, and he's our best person with the ball in their hands, other than Lamar. I mean, it's really not close. Hey, maybe Zay can be even more of a threat because Lamar's going to be protecting himself as a quarterback should protect that right shoulder and everything else.
Can I say one more thing?
Sure, go ahead. Yep.
So it was funny you just brought that up because Lamar Jackson, last week when news first started coming out that, oh, Zay Flowers, he's really good, man. He's really shifty. I mean, joystick this, joystick that, Lamar said, I'm gonna be there right with him. Like he doesn't like. I think one of the reporters asked him like, are you guys gonna be in competition? Like he moves kind of similar to you. Like how you feel about that? And he's like, yeah, he's good, but like I'm gonna be moving with him. So I like kind of like that friendly competition there. I do think that Lamar Jackson is gonna try to get his in the open field this season. Expect some ankles to be broken. Expect some touchdowns to be ran for. So I just love it all around. Love it all around.
Sutton, I was pretty happy at that stadium practice to see them still have that veer option in the offense. They ran it with
Yeah.
Huntley a couple of times too, where basically they're faking the guy who's in motion, they're faking the jet sweep, and Lamar can take it up the middle. Like
Yeah.
that tells me that they were serious about keeping some of Greg Roman's rush offense, which is a great idea. So to have Lamar not just take Lamar's threat of his legs out of the game, to me that would be foolish. Yeah, manage it. Lamar doesn't have to carry 85-90% of the offense anymore on his back, but to take it out completely just seemed a little silly for me. So on this offense, though, is kind of struggling a little bit. I noticed at the stadium practice, and I thought it was a symptom of the wide receivers we're talking about right now. Bateman out, OBJ ramping it up and down in between reps. You can tell Flowers was out of that stadium practice. Lamar going to Andrews, going to Likely, just to keep the chains moving in front of a stadium full of fans. I think they sold like 40,000 tickets to a practice, which is crazy. But Monken said in his press conference today, we're not really good right now. We have a long way to go. And I did kind of sense that. Like I love the tempo, but you spoke about Bateman earlier, and I think that Bateman is going to be key to have him in there and to have him a part of things to really round this wide receiver core out.
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right about that. I mean, if we have a Rashad Bateman on top of an Odell Beckham Jr., on top of a Zay Flowers, on top of, oh yeah, we forgot our guy leading in targets for the past couple of years, Mark Andrews, it's really going to be pick your poison. And what's going to be very interesting to me is how teams sort of play us early on in the season. And I kind of want to get your take on this too, because my take is that teams are not going to be fooled by all of the offseason additions. I think that teams are still going to show us a lot of heavy box looks. They're going to say, oh, yeah, we see your Odell Beckham Jr., we see your Rashad Bateman, we see your Zay Flowers, but we still know you want to run the damn football. So we're going to stack this box until Lamar Jackson proves that he can throw us out of this coverage. So what do you think about that?
It's going to be tougher for them because of just, I expect us to run a lot, especially with Ricard injured. I expect us to be in three wide receivers. So if you got three wide receivers, of course you got your two starting safeties. You can bring one of those safeties in the box, but you're going to have five DBs on the field, which only leaves six other guys. So at the most, they're going to have six big guys. Can they bring a seventh man down in the box like their strong safety or whatever? Sure. But yeah, I think they know the Ravens are going to run the ball, and they think the Ravens are going to have to run the ball a little bit more early while this offense gets its feet under it. I don't know. I hope the Ravens come out. Like the Texans are a good opponent for it because their defense doesn't have a ton of talent on it to really start establishing themselves. But it wouldn't surprise me if the offense just got better and better, like a 2019 type of thing, where it takes the offense a month to find itself. Then all of a sudden, Sutton, people have never seen Todd Monken and Lamar Jackson together. They don't know what it's supposed to look like. So, like you say, they're guessing, I'm guessing, you're guessing. These defense are going to have to guess week per week. But yeah, with Bateman, Sut, this is my thing right here. I feel like we're going to see a Hollywood type rookie year with Bateman as far as the injury is concerned. I think I said this to Simply. He's not going to be 100% maybe all year. Maybe he's running around 90%, 95%. Maybe he gets banged up in the games, got to take a week off. But he's still going to be maybe his snaps are capped at like 40 a game. Maybe he doesn't practice on Wednesdays a whole lot, that kind of thing. But I think that he'll gut out the injury, play through the pain that comes with all that scar tissue after getting the screw removed in the foot. What do you expect of Bateman? Because I know some fans are getting nervous now that we haven't seen him. My panic level is still kind of low, but at the same time, I don't feel like it's going to be anything that's going to go away this year.
Yeah, I mean, Bateman's role in this offense, I think, will be it's going to be something to watch out for because I've been on the record saying that I believe guys like Zay Flowers are going to get a lot of touches because he's going to get the ball quickly, right? I think they're going to be drawing up plays to get him the ball as soon as possible so he can make plays after the catch, like you said earlier. And then also with Odell Beckham Jr., I can honestly see him being very active in the red zone, plays being called for him in the red zone because, he can get open quickly too. And he can catch a pass over a guy, over a defender, like pretty easily. That's one of his things. That's what he does. But Rashad Bateman is kind of, and this is why I say he's the catalyst, man, because like he can kind of do it all. He can take the top off the defense. We've seen him do that. We've seen him get open early and then take it to the house. We've seen him jump ball, go up 50-50 ball, contested catches over guys.
Stop routes, first downs, pretty
Yeah,
much
we've seen it
everything.
all. We've seen it all.
That's part of his skill set too. Sutton coming out, it wasn't is he a burner? No, but he can run. Is he a route runner? Yes, he can run routes. Is he big? No, but he's not small. Like that's his thing, to have a complete game. And
Yeah.
man, he's a really important player on this team, I think.
Yeah, I mean, to me, and this is don't I feel like a lot of people take this the wrong way.
Uh-oh.
But when I look at Rashad Bateman in terms of like the archetype of receiver that he is, I might think of like a Justin Jefferson, right? Now, let's just say a poor man's Justin Jefferson right now because we haven't seen anywhere close to that sort of production out of Bateman. But those guys, they can do very similar things on the football field, and they have a very similar build as well. So I think that if Rashad Bateman can stay healthy for a full season with a Lamar Jackson-led offense, with threats like Mark Andrews and Gus Edwards and Odell Beckham Jr., and even hell, once Isaiah Likely starts to take off, which I definitely think he will, Rashad Bateman he's going to get his. He's going to get his in this offense, man. He's going to perform really well. And if he can stay healthy for the whole season, like I said, man, I can definitely see him emerging as maybe the wide receiver one for us.
There you go. Yeah, I mean, anytime Bateman's been on the field, he's been pretty good. I think he needs to hold on to the ball a little bit. That's one thing that bugged me. Popped up, in the games that he has played. Some tough opportunities, but footballs that I guarantee he would say to you, I should catch those. So,
Yeah.
You kind of stole my thunder with Odell Beckham a little bit. We're on the same page with this, Sutton. Red zone threat. That's what I expect from Odell. Third downs too, but especially in the red zone. I don't have a prediction for as far as like number of receptions for Odell or number of yards for Odell. I think it depends a lot on him, but it also depends on other aspects of the offense. Ravens are definitely going to want to get their money's worth out of Odell, but what better way to get your money's worth out of a guy than to have him putting up 6 points at a time? And I'm sure we're going to see a couple of those goal line fades where the balls, obviously Lamar's got really good touch. The ball's in a nice spot. Doesn't have to be perfect. Odell goes up, gets the ball. We saw crazy play from training camp where he's manipulating the DB while the ball's in the air, stops, and then goes. All the things that Odell can do for you. To me, it's not the quantity necessarily. It's going to be the quality that he gives you.
Okay. Yeah. No, I can definitely get behind that because I don't think he's going to be, obviously like an every down guy, but he is a vet. He has suffered a couple of major injuries, so I definitely think that we will use him sparingly. And to your point, I think it'll be in the red zone.
Yeah. So Isaiah Likely, you mentioned him just a little while ago. Let's go through it, man. Let's go through the targets we have here. You said how did you say it? You expect him to break out or be a part of it? Give me your rundown on Likely. How do you see him fitting in?
Man, Isaiah Likely, he's just one of those guys, man, where against a zone defense, I think that he can just absolutely just cut it up. When the Ravens are really running the ball well and Lamar Jackson is doing what he does with his legs, no defense wants to play man against us, really. They want to keep us in front of them playing zone. And what Isaiah Likely does really well is that, he finds that soft spot in the zone, catches the ball, assesses where he is on the field, makes a guy miss, and he goes for at least like 4 or 5 more yards. We've seen that on multiple occasions from Isaiah Likely. We've even seen games where Isaiah Likely, has damn near taken over the game. I mean, you can reference back to that Buccaneers game. I believe it was last season. Yeah, I mean, Isaiah Likely was, well, obviously it was because Isaiah Likely was a rookie last season. But yeah, he was really good in that game. Had a touchdown and everything. Was getting us down the field. I'm excited. I'm so excited to see what we can get out of Isaiah Likely because guess what? I think that he's the Ravens' best kept secret because nobody else in the league is really going to be keying in on Isaiah Likely. When Isaiah Likely is lined up at the tight end position, and let's just say Mark Andrews isn't on the field, right? Uh, no one's looking out for Isaiah Likely. So you're always going to have him in single coverage. You're always going to, especially if they're playing zone against us, you're always going to see him open in the zone, kind of like that safety valve for Lamar Jackson. And he's such a great catching tight end. Not as good of a blocker, obviously, but in terms of a pass catching tight end, man, I couldn't ask for more.
It's hard for me to figure it out. I'm glad to get your opinion on this because, I mean, shoot, I'm trying to figure out Bateman's role, Zay's role, Odell's role. Like, I got questions about everybody's except for Mark and Mark's role and Isaiah Likely among them. It's funny because, you mentioned his effectiveness versus zone. I think that's like the main reason Lamar referred to him as Baby Mark last year because he's got that freestyle capability, that ability to find this, a soft spot in the zone, make a very friendly, quarterback-friendly type target. And then, of course, after the catch, he's got some real running back skills. Like he's almost built like a big running back, a little oversized running back with his side to side, his little juke moves, making guys miss. So and it wouldn't surprise me if he was out there with Zay Flowers on some of these picks or rubs. If they get too keen on Zay, not only do you have a big guy like Likely who can get in the way and do the old pick and roll, set up the pick and roll, but he could also roll.
Yeah, he can roll right to the basket, or in this case, the end zone, and it'd be an easy 6 for Lamar. I can definitely see that. I mean, you bring up a great point there. You might have just told the future. You might have just predicted the future right there. We might actually see that exact concept this season. Because, again, think about it. 90% of the NFL, so I mean, and this goes across fans, this goes across players, coaches, everything. Nobody really knows Isaiah Likely. You know what I mean? Like they just don't. They're not game planning for him. So I think that he can definitely be the Ravens' best kept secret, their secret weapon, so to say. But man, you got me hyped. You got me hyped, man.
Yeah, it seemed like a lot of those screens were predictable and they were the same way. Bunch formation. We got 3 guys on one side. One of them's Duvernay, and he's going to be the guy getting the ball. And then we'd have, Mark and Ricard over there with them, Ricard in motion. And you knew who was getting the ball. I mean, it was pretty obvious. So, yeah, maybe Likely can make a guy miss too. So that would be really, really interesting. Guy that I'm getting kind of more and more excited about is Nelson Aguilar, who could match Likely in snaps. And the reasons are very clear. Bateman might have to have his snaps managed. OBJ might have his snaps managed. So yeah, you're going to have Mark out there. You're going to have Zay out there, who's a rookie. Maybe he doesn't have the whole playbook at his disposal yet. Who knows? A lot of question marks on playing time. One thing I like about Nelson Aguilar's side, even with his his questions about his hands and things like that, he can track the ball. He can track the ball well, and he's got great catch radius. And one of my problems or issues I've had with Duvernay, the Lamar to Duvernay connection over the years, is Duvernay will come screaming up the slot, line up in the slot, split the safeties, and Lamar just decides no, and just will throw it, lock on to Andrews, throw it to Andrews, or maybe he'll take off running, or he'll just take a shorter, easier target. And I think that he's had chances to hit Duvernay. And we saw last year it was like a couple of times. One of them was almost intercepted. The other one, it looked like Lamar missed by like 10 yards, but really it was like it took Duvernay. He was trying to lead Duvernay to water on that play. So I think it's an upgrade in the slot as far as stretching the slot. Something I would like to see Nelson Aguilar provide for this team is the deep shot everywhere. If he's not going to be catching the ball, at least being able to clear out space and be a better threat in that way.
Yeah. No, I am excited to see what Nelson Aguilar, aka Nelly, will be able to do within this offense, man. I heard he's having actually a pretty good training camp so far.
Yeah, he keeps splashing. He keeps
He keeps
getting called out. But yeah, deep ball, Sut. I guess that's what I'm getting at with Nelson Aguilar. Do you have any expectations for him, or is he going to just have to get in where he fits in? And how do you think we're going to use him?
Definitely gonna have to get in where he fits in. I mean, at the end of the day, there is only one football to go around, and we have a lot of other guys who need to eat before him. So I mean, we're talking Mark Andrews, Rashad Bateman, Zay Flowers, Odell Beckham Jr. That's four guys right there alone. On top of the fact that the Ravens are a run first team. So Nelson Aguilar. I mean, his target share maybe. What are you thinking? Over under 3 targets a game.
Right. That sounds about right to me. I
Okay.
mean, if everybody else is healthy,
Yeah.
yes. I mean, if not, maybe it goes up to 5 or 6. But
Mhm.
again, we just talked about Likely and maybe Charlie Collar's a part of things. Backs catching passes out of the backfield. So it's going to be tough for me. They said like my measure of success will be more what routes is he running? Is he able to clear out space? And can Lamar hit him on a couple? Even
Yeah.
just one early to be able to grab those safeties' attention, so you can let Mark and let us Isaiah Likely, let Zay Flowers, Odell eat in that mid range, that to clear out space for underneath for those guys.
No, yeah, definitely agree there. I mean, and the thing that really comes to mind for me is Todd Monken and how he has constantly said that he wants to make defenses defend every blade of grass on the football field. And just something that we haven't really had in a while is good route concepts and good route combinations, from our receivers, because we saw a lot of times where guys are running into each other, things like that. So if we can get the spacing correct and stop trying to fight defenses in a phone booth all the way down the field, then I think that we will be very productive on offense. But it all boils down to one Todd Monken.
It really does, and I think Greg Roman did an okay job of stretching the field horizontally. With the Jets
Yeah,
jet sweeps, the gadget plays, the bubble screens. Like you definitely had to defend sideline to sideline,
yeah.
but the deep ball was hit or miss, especially after Hollywood left town. The deep ball seemed to leave town too. So it was rough. Bateman was there for a little bit, but that's what Monken's challenge is, I think, is to bring the big play back, take some pressure off of Lamar's shoulders, let him get into a rhythm. Not, hey, we handed the ball off, 8 of the last 10 times. Now it's 3rd and 12. Find somebody 15 yards downfield. Like that's tough, man. That's a tough ask. Get your quarterback in the rhythm and let him go. It's funny because in Monken's press conference today, he kind of alluded to your point about the wide receivers being bunched up because so much of Mark Andrews' game is playground ball with him and Lamar. When things break down, them just being on the same page with each other.
Mm.
And the reporter asked him basically it was like, how much do you want to curb that, because obviously he's designing routes differently than Greg Roman, better than Greg Roman, so stuff won't break down. And he basically alluded to it. You would have to watch the Todd Monken press conference, anybody watching out there. I think it
Yeah.
would be worth the 5-6 minutes. But he does answer it and be like, he's pretty much said, Sutton, we got to balance that. Like, we don't want things breaking down all the time. We can't
Check
have in the
downs.
same
Yeah.
area, but at the same time, you don't want to take away that magic that Lamar and Mark have.
Yeah. Yeah. I do remember him saying that today. He also said that he wants to, make sure that the check downs are there, make sure that those are being cashed in on, get the running backs involved underneath, receivers who are coming back to the football. Like that's what's important. And again, I was just talking to Simply Aston about this. It sucks that J.K. Dobbins is holding in on the offense right now because he's just such an important piece. He's really like the cherry on top to all of it. So well, I kind of wanted to get your thoughts on that. Your thoughts on J.K. Dobbins as well, and like what his absence really means for this offense.
I think it means nothing right now, but I think it will mean something if he holds out until like the week before the first game.
Mm.
Because if he's, if his goal is just to not get fined, he might say the Saturday before the game, "Okay, coach, I'm off pup, I'm ready." And then you're not going to really have him for the first week. Maybe only gets a handful of carries. Maybe it takes him all of September to get warmed up. If he starts practicing in the next week or two and can get a few weeks under his belt, so I have zero concern, Sutton, because his vision is really good. His balance and obviously all the other skills he has is really good. And a lot of the plays are the same. I'm sure he's learning the terminology and stuff, but my main thing is it's going to take you some time to get into football shape. And, there might be a game where JK is our best back. That might be week 2 against Cincinnati. You know what I mean? Like, my concern for him isn't long term; it's short term. Come on, J.K., get into shape. Don't just, like I said, last minute say, "Hey, coach, I'm ready. I don't want to get fined, so I'm active. I'm active now." Give us a few weeks. By August, I don't know, 15th, 20th. Another 10, 15 days, 2 weeks. I'd like to see J.K. Stop holding in and start practicing, get himself ready, so he can get 15, 20 carries week 1 or week 2.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree. 15, 20 carries week 1, week 2 seems a little steep, especially considering what they've been doing with J.K. Dobbins thus far in his career, and also considering the amount of new weapons we have on our offense now. But he does need to get in there sooner rather than later because, and I was also talking to Simply about this too. It's definitely hurting him more than it's helping him right now. For him, him holding in, doing what he's doing at the moment, because if he, let's just say that he does, hypothetically speaking, he does sit out the first, I don't know, 2, 3 weeks of the season, just says, you know what, I'm not doing it, and then by the time like week 4, week 5 comes around, he comes back, you're going to have to ramp him up. And oh yeah, by the way, we've already been installing new concepts that have been working, so we're going to keep running with those instead of trying to automatically inject you, J.K. Dobbins, into the offense with 15, 20 carries a game. So, and we already know what his grievances are with the Ravens. It's not just the plummeting running back market. It's also the fact that he wasn't getting utilized as much as he thought he should have been. So
Right.
if he decides to sit out and wait until like week 4, week 5, or however long, he's just going to become even more frustrated because the opportunities just won't be there for him like he wants to be.
Yeah, I guess I just can't. That would be such a bad move by JK that I can't. I don't know. Like, I can't fathom it, but who knows? It's a desperate time, and it's a really important time. I alluded to him this on Twitter. So it's like, this is probably this payday he's trying to earn right now is going to be the money he's living off of for the rest of his life. Like, the
Ooh,
biggest chunk of money he's going to get is going to be this. It's not going to be his rookie contract. It's not, who knows if he's even going to cash in big time after this. It's this one. So
yeah.
desperate times, desperate measures. JK, I don't know. He doesn't seem like he marches to the beat of his own drum, I would guess, much like Lamar. So there's an unpredictable factor. He seems to hold a grudge for Harbaugh putting him in for one series in a preseason game that was disastrous. That Harbaugh was having a hard time. He needed consoling from other players. He was so upset with himself just trying to get those guys a series. Like, that doesn't matter to JK. He's like bitter as hell about it. Mismanaged, liking tweets that are saying, I don't know, Sutton. What did the tweet say? Do you remember any of the words? It was like,
there's been a bunch of them.
malpractice, something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
coaches
like,
mishandling things, something like that. It was,
right.
oh my
So
God.
he's bitter, bro. Like, it's hard to predict, but to me, if you start holding out regular season games, you're not going to get anything more than a 1-year deal with somebody else. Because if
Yeah,
I'm another team, hell, if I'm going to go through that another year from now, where you're
yeah,
on the last year of your deal and you're not happy, it's going to be a 1-year prove it deal for J.K. Dobbins. So I expect him to be ready to be active week 1. But I guess my main concern is, like, all right, we got the lead against the Texans. We want to start running the ball. If I'm J.K. Dobbins, Sutton, I want to be 100%. I want to be scoring 2 or 3 touchdowns, not Gus.
yeah. No, I mean, because at the end of the day, um, that's what's going to get you paid. Now, I do want to ask you, just to kind of round out that topic. What do you really feel about the running back market right now? Do you think that it'll ever be on the upswing again, or do you think it's just doomed?
I think it's kind of doomed. I think
Mm,
there might be guys coming along like Bijan Robinson this year. Maybe he gets paid like McCaffrey got paid, but I don't think it's because they're not valuable. Some people will say, well, running backs don't matter. The running game doesn't matter. It's all passing. It's a passing league. I don't think that's the case. I think it's more of the case that running backs age quickly, and the new guys that you bring in, the college running backs, can produce for you right away. So I mean, yeah, of course the passing game's more important, but I don't think it's all like, all right, running backs are devalued because we don't need them. I think it's that you look at offensive linemen, they get better in their second contract. Quarterback, heck, it might be 28, 29 years old before he's at his best. Other positions take a while to learn, safeties, linebackers. Running backs, man, by the time you hit 25, 26, I mean, the numbers bear it out. You start losing speed, you start losing production, you take a beating. So I think that it's not that they're not important to winning a game. I think you need good running backs to be a good team, even if it's a late round guy like Isaiah Pacheco. But the logic has gone until some of these guys start outperforming their second contract. That market's going to stay down.
Yeah, I mean, it really does come down to being able to outperform your second contract. I think another big factor into that goes into all of this running back market stuff is the fact that general managers now are valuing the running ability of quarterbacks higher than that of running backs. You've got guys like Patrick Mahomes, even though he's not the most mobile guy, he's no Lamar Jackson, he's no Jalen Hurts, Josh Allen, guys like that. But some of his biggest, most impactful plays in the postseason have come with his legs, and that's while having Isaiah Pacheco, next to him at running back, or who was the guy from a couple years ago, Clyde Edwards-Helaire,
Damian Williams, I remember
Damian
too.
Williams, like, you know what I mean? Like, just regular guys at running back. And look what they're doing. They're winning Super Bowls.
That's
They're
right.
winning Super Bowls. So I think the proof is in the pudding there. I mean, the formula to win championships is not to have like a bell cow running back like a Zeke, like, Saquon Barkley, like these other guys. Because none of them, you look at the facts, none of these guys really make it late in the postseason anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I think you can mix and match there more than other positions do. You can have, your third down back, your between the tackles back, goal line back. Guy
Like
can run outside the tackles, right? So you can mix and match and really like put yourself together because you're going to need more than one anyway. Put yourself a diverse skill set of running backs and make it work. So, yeah, for all those reasons, paying one just doesn't seem like I don't see the end of the light at the end of the tunnel for it. And I just like people say, well, running backs aren't important. I'm not one of those people. I think that having a good, like, as a Ravens fan watching 2021, we left a ton of yards. Our running back, we were third in the league in rushing, but man, our efficiency, all those EPA numbers, and you could just feel it as a fan without tracking numbers, man. We were hurting, missing Dobbins and Gus, and I don't want to go through anything like that again, man. I want to have some explosiveness in the backfield.
Yeah, I mean, me too, which is why, again, it sucks JK is not here, but all aboard the Gus bus.
So, Sut, great talk, man. Great talk. Last question.
Okay.
Any other receivers stand out to you or targets that we didn't talk about in this offense that the Ravens are going to either rely on, maybe a dark horse? I'll leave it completely open. I don't even want to put no more words out there. Let's give me one more guy.
A dark horse. Okay. Dark horse. I don't want to say Devin Duvernay. I feel like they're going to kind of utilize him. His main role will be on special teams, punt return, things like that, kick return. But I'll go, this is a juicy one. I'm going to go Charlie Kolar. And why? Because I think that he can be a big red zone threat. I mean, we're talking about a big, tall guy playing the tight end position. I think it'll be fairly easy for him to get open in such a tight packed space where you got guys like Odell threatening you, Zay Flowers, guys like that. So give me Charlie Kolar. I don't think he's gonna have a huge season obviously, but I could see him pulling in maybe like 3 to 4 touchdowns off the sneaky, So give me Charlie Kolar.
That would be nice. I'll take it. And one thing I'll say about Kolar, for anybody who wants to look up, you could look up Charlie Kolar highlights. His body control and his feet are very good. Around the sideline, staying in bounds, extending for the ball. He's got the catch radius. He's not just tall. He actually can extend his arms, has some flexibility in his body, some nice body control. So it's nice to have him in your back pocket, though, because stuff happens. I mean, Mark was beat up pretty bad last year, played through it, had to miss a couple of weeks. And, you know, you can never have enough pass catchers, can never have enough red zone, third down targets. It would be nice to see what the Ravens have in Charlie Kolar this year. So,
Yeah, definitely will. I mean, and he's on the totem pole himself and kind of far down when it comes to tight ends. I mean, we got Mark Andrews, like you said, and then Isaiah Likely's right there underneath him. So I could put Isaiah Likely as my dark horse because like I said about 10, 15 minutes ago, nobody knows who Isaiah Likely is. So by default, I get the the right to call him a dark horse. But
no, I think it's a good call. That's a good call because
yeah,
nobody's talking about him. You
yeah,
really aren't hearing about Likely. I mean, among Ravens fans,
right,
you're hearing, you know, okay, it's all about Bateman. Look at Zay. Look at Nelson. OBJ. But you don't really hear about Likely. People getting excited about Likely, and I think it will come down to a lot of who can block and where they can block.
right,
Can you block in line? Probably not Likely, but Kolar can probably do it. But that's, you know, they're all receiving tight ends. That needs easier said than done. And then Likely, you know, he can play that Pat Ricard H-back role and come out the backfield and make some blocks in the backfield and some blocks on the move if you need him to do that too. I mean, if he can do that effectively and block for others, that'll get him on the field a lot too. So, yeah, how those guys progress on blocking, I think, you know, may determine how much playing time they can get. The more they can do, man, the more they can do. So yes, man, thanks so much for joining me one more time, or actually for the first time, because I think I did it. For tell people about your work, where they can find you.
yeah. You can find me. My name is at Suttondef. You can find me at Suttondef pretty much anywhere: Twitter, Instagram, Threads, the new one, courtesy of Mark Zuckerberg. And then you also got the Purple Rain podcast, which is where me and my co-host Simply AS10, we go live every Monday and Thursday at 6 p.m. covering Raven stuff. I mean, listen, the season is back now, so I mean, we're going to be live consistently. Over the off season, sometimes we take a couple days off if there's not too much to talk about. You know, we gotta get our vacation time too, right? But we're
That's
back
right.
now, so make sure you go on YouTube, subscribe to us at the Purple Rain podcast. And Jason, again, thank you so much for having me on. I appreciate it.
Oh man, anytime. And I told Simply the same thing. I might ask you to come on again before this preseason's over because I'm going to try to keep
Let's do
putting
it.
out content and get while the getting's good, while the excitement's here, and before all the why can we do this better? You know, right now it's still kind of optimistic time.
Yeah.
So, you know, I like going around the flock and getting some ideas. And then, you know, soon we'll have some actual preseason games and these battles will start taking shape and all that other stuff. Little disappointed you didn't tell us anything negative about Simply, though. Like, you know, he's late every once in a while, or he doesn't comb his hair, or he's always fixing his hair or something. You know, you could have gave us some kind of dirt on him, man.
Nah, he's a good guy. He's a good guy. Can't throw him under the bus, man. I'm not putting that on the YouTube airways. And
Yeah,
no,
don't put
no.
it out there. Somebody will cut it off. You see what Sutton's saying? But
Exactly.
with that, I want to say thank you to my football family. Love my football family. Thanks to Sutton for coming on. And Sut, say goodnight to the people.
Good night, people, or good morning, good afternoon, whenever you might be listening to this.
And what else? Uh, uh, stay positive.
Oh yes, you gotta stay positive and test negative, and never ever forget, even on the rainiest of days, to call God.
There we go. Good evening.